Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video, we are going to take a close look at the all famous RetroStation 14K. The RetroStation comes in different versions. As you can see over here, we're going to get the 4K and the 8K edition. And of course with different Android operating systems. So RetroStation has nothing to do with PlayStation or the PlayStation 5. And it's just basically an Android box with EmuELEC on it. So it's an Android box, but how does this work and what are you going to get? That is what we're going to find out in this video. So let's take a close look at the specifications at the back. But let's do a quick overview of the specifications when you're looking at the older and the newer model. The older model is more like the Super Console X, comes with the S905 chipset. That has also an older Android version 7 with a quad-core CPU and a very basic old-school GPU inside. Most of the time it's a Mali 450, if I'm saying it correctly. In combination we have some video playback with 4K. The 4K, I just need to point out that has nothing to do with the games itself. It's more like what kind of signal it supports when you're running this on an Android in combination with some video files. But with this version and of course this video, we're going to take a close look at the newest model. Okay guys, so let's take a close look in the box itself, or in other words, let's do the unboxing. Inside the box we're going to find another box. We're going to get two controllers. The controllers are not something like the Super Console X, the cheap knockoff controllers we've seen before. No, this is different quality. Also these things have built-in lithium batteries, very convenient, and the option to give this thing like a like a minor upgrade. Where you can see the D-pad, but let's take a close look at that later. Here we're going to get the system itself, and then we're having the basic manual, or like piece of paper that explains how everything works and what can you do with it, because you have some dual boot capabilities. Okay, so this is what we're going to get. Of course we're going to get the manual. You can see like this, selling these controllers separately. You can also use it in Bluetooth mode in combination with a phone. So if you're interested, you can also get yourself the controller separately. So the controller is completely different, let's say quality level, than when you're comparing them with the cheap PlayStation 2 knockoffs I've reviewed here on the channel. It comes with a built-in battery, give you a couple of hours of playtime. Nice, let's say trigger buttons, good high quality. Shoulder buttons, they feel very nice. The D-pad is clickish, but I can tell you like this D-pad is very responsive. I've tried it before. Analog sticks feel very nice. Select start, like the rubbery select start we can see with different controls in the past. And the ABHY, like a very nice high quality controller. And they got some shapes over here that gives it quite comfortable. The controller's got a very nice size, so I think it will fit in every hand. I've shown you before, like having this, I would say upgrade slash with piece of plastic that we can put on it. So if you like this, you can play it with the controller in this way. And of course, including a cable for charging it. But if you ask me, when you're looking at the controller, it's a very positive sign. And maybe if you're paying a little bit more for this kit itself, the controller already is worth it, because you can use it on different systems. But very important, it's high quality. And that is most of the problems I'm having with these systems, that we're going to get horrible controllers. But not today. The RetroStation, back to the future. It's more like back to the retro, but okay, maybe it's me. So what you're going to get inside this package is just your casual Android box, like the same stuff what you're going to get with a Super Console X. Alright, so let's take a closer look inside the box itself. So first of all, let's talk about the system itself. Because I must say, I just handed to him. It's basically like a cheap sticker he put on an Android box, but he put the extra effort in it to make something unique. Over here we're going to get two dongles, simply because we're going to need those for the controllers. But let's do a quick overview of the specs and what are the functionalities, etc, etc. So it's the time for the wicked nerdy time. Chipset S905X3. It is in quad core that is running on 1.90 GHz. The Mali G31 GPU that has in total 2 GB of DDR3. Then we're having internally 16 GB that we can use for Android, and the SD card is 128 GB. That's of course with the EmuELEC, so we can use that part for adding some new games if there's still some room left. Dual boot system, so this means you can just use this thing like an Android box, have all the functionalities. But if you want, we can take a close look later at the Android version. Alright, so let's see what we're going to get more. Then we're having the power supply. So here we're having like the 5-volt power supply with the barrel jack connection. We're going to get the remote simply because it's an Android box with dual boot, so if you remove the SD card you can boot into Android, and then we're having an HDMI cable. So this is what we're going to get at the bottom. We're going to get the TT TV box. It's an Android player, or known as the X96 Max. The specifications: 2 GB of RAM and 60 GB of internal storage. In this side we're going to get the input for the DC or the power supply, optical out, HDMI out, Ethernet connection, AV out and IR connection. But take consideration the AV out doesn't always work if you want to put it in a thing like say an arcade machine with a CRT or just a regular CRT monitor. So over here we're going to get a USB 3.0 port and USB 2.0 port and of course the card slot. And let's pull it out. So basically this is what's going to be happening with this device. When you're booting it up, it will boot into the SD card. And I must say that he's even having his own card, like RetroStation 120 GB. Okay, I must say that is kind of fancy. And when you plug in the power supply, it will instantly boot up into Android, of course, when you also remove the SD card, what I told you before. So it's just basically an X96 Max Plus. You can get this thing on AliExpress for less, but in consideration you need to buy yourself an SD card and need to reconfigure ME-ELEC. I will make a separate tutorial there if you're interested in it, but you can do it very cheaply yourself. But yeah, if you want to mess around with it, you can do so. But after a couple of minutes, it will boot up into the Android when you of course remove the SD card. So take consideration, some of these boxes are rooted. We will look into this later on in a different video because I want to focus on the retro part. But let's plug in back the SD card, let's boot it up and let's see what we're going to get and what is this little me machine capable of running when it comes to retro games. The boot up sequence of the RetroStation part will, I think it will take up a couple of minutes, but you will be introduced by a couple of intros and an intro video, and then it will load up the information. So we're ready to play. So let's take a close look at the RetroStation layout. So when booted up, this is the menu what you're going to get. So what is this device capable of? So when you're looking at ME-ELEC, because this is just the software that it was running on, ME-ELEC has a lot of potential and a lot of development in the last couple of years. We can play a lot of old school stuff like ColecoVision, Commodore 64, you name it, it can be run. But I'm personally more interested what is it capable of when running to the high-end stuff. So there's where we're going to get a mixed performance. I already know that because I've reviewed a couple of these boxes. But this is the S905X3 and that means that we're going to get more juice like with the Super Console X in general. So we slightly will see some better performance here and there. So this image itself is a RetroStation image. I don't know if he grabbed it from the internet and made it himself or did some modifications. I don't know for sure. But in the end you can see it has a lot of potential, but especially when it comes to Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, Naomi, Atomiswave, I'm curious how it will run, and also PlayStation Portable, because a lot of cheap devices nowadays have problems with these. First off, let's start with this, because a lot of systems did have issues with this system. Take consideration the S905 chip, there are so many different versions out there. I can still hear some minor slowdowns, but the performance in general is way better than I've seen before with most of these systems nowadays. And also that happens sometimes when you're trying to play a game. I just wanted to give it a second try a different one, just to see what happens. Also for the performance, but then it will crash. But so far so good. Alright, so next up, let's try to play this game. But I just wanted to give you an idea like how this will work when it comes to Sega Saturn. You can see that we got quite a good performance even for a low-end box, and that surprised me to be honest. But I would not be surprised that we're going to get a lot of mixed performance, simply because this is a super demanding system. Alright, so next up, Sega Dreamcast. And with the S905X3 chip in combination with a better emulator like Red Dream, we have so much better performance than we have seen before. When I go into the arcade part, you can see that this system runs the games very well. Of course, you will always find a glitch or another problem, but in general, like, it's got an amazing performance. When we're looking at PlayStation Portable, now we're going to hit the ceiling with what this device is capable of. So when you're having like a Darius boost, it runs very well. Like, a lot of games will be playable, but if you want to play in God of War, the really demanding games, here you can find that this system struggles big time. So take consideration, if you want to play PlayStation Portable and more demanding systems, you just need to have more juice. And the same thing applies to N64. It will be like a mixed performance. A Bug Bumble will run just fine. By the way, if you never tried this game, I love it. I played it so much back in the day and I still play it on my original N64. I just want to give you a quick example with Cruisin' the USA. We need quite a lot of good performance in combination with a good emulator to get a perfect gameplay. I tried this system on the Super Console, the King, and even with an, let's say, a €200 freaking expensive Android box, I couldn't get this perfectly running. Only when having like a very powerful PC in combination with the Mutant 64, if I'm recalling it correctly, I can play this game without any hiccups or whatsoever glitches. Oh yeah, it's time for Wicked to be naughty, and let's break the seal. Ooh. So first of all, I'm a big fan of active and maybe in combination with passive cooling. So the metal plate, whoa, this thing is really hot, so it transfers all of the heat from the chips through this thermal paste block into the metal over here in the middle. It gives also like the most of the weight because it's a lot of plastic, fantastic, and it seems to be working just fine. Over here we're going to get all of the RAM chips, and then we're going to get over here the main chip itself. And let's see what it says on the chip. It's very hard to capture. Yeah, I think you can see it. It's the S905X3. So it seems to be that this is an original one. But overall we will take a close look at it later. If you want to see it, we can open it up in a different video with, of course, Android and Ada64. Let's remove this over here. So how is it with this Android box? So in general, like, it's the same stuff we have seen before, and it's basically does an x86. There is no production date whatsoever. What we can do is removing the extra screw over here and just lift it out. Okay, so the only thing that holds the main board inside the plastic fantastic case are two tiny Parkers. So the construction of the casing, I would say, like, you just need to make it better, like better cooling. It's just a very cheap x86 version 2. We're going to get 4 chips over here for the RAM. Here we're going to get the internal storage, the flash chip, and then we're going to get another 4 RAM modules. And of course the chip over here, the main chip that I've shown you before, that has the CPU and the GPU where all the freaking magic happens. But there was no production date whatsoever, so you can see how old this freaking piece of hardware is. And before I forget, and this is the Wi-Fi antenna. So it's not a great Wi-Fi functionality, it's just very basic. I personally prefer like having an external antenna, but it will do its job. But the problem I'm having with this case is very simple. Everything has been clicked together. It's not a big of a deal, but the problem I'm having with this, like, the cooling is going to be connected through only click devices. I rather have like 4 screws that pulls the 2 shelves together, so you know for sure the cooling will be great. Or in the future, just get a big capping hole, so we're having some active cooling. Of course, it will be slightly problem because the main board has been constructed differently, but the thing is, like, that would be great. So when you're looking at the RetroStation 40K, it's just okay. Up to PlayStation 1 there will not be an issue, But when you're looking at the higher end stuff, PlayStation Portable will be a mixed bag in combination with N64. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, GameCube, Wii, just forget about it. You need a beefy PC for that at least to get those running on the full speed. Sega Naomi and Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, it seems to be we're going to get a mixed performance, but a lot of games are playable. The system itself comes with dual boot, maybe we can talk about it later on in a different video, but the controllers, I like them. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for watching, hit the little bell, become on the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.